Welcome back to another episode of the podcast, From the Depths of Darkness to the Light of Success. I am your host, Chris Swiech, and on this podcast, we talk about mental health, addictions, ADHD, eating disorders, and really anything anyone's afraid to talk about, we talk about it on the show. I believe everyone's story is valuable at the end of the day. It doesn't matter what walk of life you come from. You're all welcome on my platform. You can find the show over on YouTube, From the Depths of Darkness to the Light of Success. You can find it over on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, really wherever you listen to your shows, you can find my show on there. And also hit me up over on Instagram at Depths of Darkside. And with no further ado, I'd love to introduce to you my next guest. I got Josh Boni from the GTA area of Ontario here. You want to take it away and let them know a little bit about you, Josh, and what you are all about?
Wow. Yeah, what I'm all about. It's been quite a ride. I had a great upbringing. Parents were awesome. Put me through hockey. Did the AA loop for most of my minor hockey career until I got too good. And then I had to go to AAA. And then it became serious, right? It was time to buckle down. And that's what we did. And my dad had two jobs. My mother had one, city and postie, and I weren't rich, but worked as hard as I could to provide. I have a sister, Crystal, who's got two boys in hockey. That keeps me motivated to keep going in my life, my journey. And from a youth to playing junior to pro, and then the all difficult task of retiring. And retiring, where's the limelight gone? Where are the people? Where are the fans? Where are the girls? That's one thing with the hockey. It was, you were it, like in small towns all over Europe and the States. And I tried to give back to players and try to teach the parents when they listen, because a lot of times they think they know it all, is it's great your boys going to university or play major junior, playing some pro hockey, but have a plan afterwards, because all of a sudden one day you wake up, you're an alcoholic and you have an addiction. And now it's time to buckle down, and it's tough.
No, for sure, Josh. Those are some really good points. Myself growing up playing hockey as well. I had a dad that coached AAA for 25 plus years myself. I remember the rule, one person in particular, they put a rule in. There was a 24-hour rule because there was a couple of parents in particular that got pissed up and would call the coaches after a game. Oh, why didn't my son play? There was a 24-hour rule they implemented because of a couple fathers on the team. And then they stuck to it. They wouldn't answer the phone 24 hours after the game. There's your cool down period. Maybe you could think about it a little bit instead of just jumping to irrational thoughts and decisions and stuff while you're all pissed up at home. So
you know what? That's funny. I'm coaching junior hockey and trying to take it serious. It was the GMHL, it was the Outlaw League. And I have a parent call me the day of the game, and he says, it's such and such's birthday today. Do you think he can get more ice time? And with my mouth, I said, absolutely. If on my birthday, don't bring him to the arena. Put it this way, it didn't go over very well, but they don't think, right? You're trying to run a good junior program, which is the next level before pro. And you want more ice time on your birthday? Come on, what are we doing here?
Well, Josh, your professional hockey career was filled with success and achievements. Can you share a specific moment, though, or experience from your playing days that you believe had profound impact on your journey towards addiction, and what lessons you learned from it?
Well, so here's one for you. Now that I'm thinking back, I'm playing junior hockey in Aurora, my first year.
Okay.
My GM, Glenn,
good old Aurora.
We were the Eagles at the time. There was there was a 5-year window that they changed to the Eagles, and they went back to the Tigers. My GM, Glenn Henderson, pulls me aside. I think we were playing in Lindsay or Aurelia. So the boys are on the bus. He pulls me aside and he wants to talk to me. He's letting me know that I'm having great success, that San Jose Sharks are interested in me, that I got to stay away from the veterans, stay away from the drinking and the partying and the girls, and really focus on the second half of the season. In one ear, out the other. I probably should have realized then and there that it was time to buckle down. But again, scoring goals, and mostly I was a playmaker, setting up goals, fighting, and the after parties, they all went hand in hand. And I guess I just couldn't choose which one was more important. which is difficult at a young age. I was a 17-year-old playing with all 20s pretty much. And hey, follow the leader. And taking nothing away from the game. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying here. And again, I'm on the show. I'm here to help others and people would listen. And I see a lot of kids play a year up, 2 years up. And I'm like, for what reason? Dominate your own age. You start hanging out with older players. I know a kid that was, instead of playing midget with me, he played junior C with 20, 21-year-olds. What is he going to learn? How to twist him? Do you know what I mean? How to flip a beer cap after a game? I don't understand it sometimes. But again, I guess I went through it. You just gotta, and that's when looking back, that's when I learned that the alcohol was a part of my life from 17 all the way until I went to rehab a few years ago.
And it doesn't take long to get a hold of you either. I remember that first drink way back when, then smoking that first joint, then it just led from one thing to another. And 25 years later, it's like, what the hell am I doing with my life?
Exactly.
So what was that sort of the impact on your journey then? Was that sort of what lesson did you learn from that coach then? Obviously you couldn't choose which way you wanted to go at the time because we are young. We're not mature enough at that point sometimes either. When we sometimes maybe we should be, we're still not matured, even though we're 16, 17 years old.
Absolutely not. I mean, I think pretty much the first thing on the bus was beer. When we would race home to get to Greystones, we hated playing in Collingwood because it was an 8:30 start. We couldn't get in there for last call. And then what's funny is a bunch of years later, I'm 29 years old. I'm trying to get into Greystones and it's 30 and over. And they card me. I can't get in. I thought they used to come here when I was 17. But yeah, it was always there. And don't get me wrong. One thing I like about social media is I run into a ton of old teammates and we have a good laugh. And I still laugh about some of the shenanigans that I did or they did that we did to each other. And I didn't do drugs when I played hockey. I did once. And unfortunately, that game I had 3 goals and 2 assists and I hadn't slept a wink. It just made absolutely no sense. But besides that, it was beer drinking and sometimes the night before a game. I remember on the road coming home from after curfew, all I had was a face cloth. There was no blankets. There was no mattress. The boys took everything. They left one face cloth on the box spring. You can't call down to the front desk because you're gonna wake up somebody, right? So it was to sleep on the box spring and play guilty. And we did it. And I look at it though, and because I was good. I had great hands. I could see the ice. I wasn't afraid to drop the mitts. I wasn't the fastest, but I was never in tip-top shape because of the drinking and being hungover and not wanting to work out the next day. And people have asked me, do I have regret? It's hard to have regret when you played 8 years pro. But here's another one. I'm called up to the Milwaukee Admirals, and Claude Noel is the coach of Winnipeg Jets. I'm on the power play, set up on the sideboards, and then after the game, he brings me in. He says, "Why aren't you in shape?" I said, "I got 100 points in the league. I'm playing down below. I didn't know you were going to call me up." And it wasn't the answer he was looking for. I was getting sent down regardless because he had said, we signed everybody and their brother and sister because it was Nashville's first year. So Milwaukee was their farm team, right? But again, another wake-up call that really didn't wake you up because he continued the partying after games and stuff. Which...
yeah, you were playing down in the States at the time.
Yeah, so obviously I started in Austria. I played Division II in Austria, and I went to England and played 3 years in England. And then I did 4 years in the States. I mean, like I said, I got a cup of coffee in the IHL, played in the Whipple, the United League, and the Central, put up 100 points every year. But again, I was top on and off the ice, right? It catches up to you.
No, it definitely does. It doesn't slow down for anyone, especially that addiction, for sure. Addiction often takes a toll on not only the individual, but also their relationships and support systems. Can you describe how your addiction affected those around you and what steps you took to repair those bonds during your recovery journey today?
Yeah, so the drinking part, it was okay. But yeah, I got a couple of minor altercations over the years, fighting and stuff at bars, which happens. But I would say a year in to my retirement, I started dabbling in cocaine. And it went from dabbling to paying for it to moving it. Because you move it, it's cheaper, right? Not realizing that, no, it's not, because it's always there. I've got 2 aunts and an uncle that have passed away of addiction, of overdoses. And you would think, Chris, wouldn't you? Seeing your 2 aunts and uncle go, that you wouldn't jump into that fray. But they say it's in your genes, and the limelight not being there no more. I jumped on board with that. And I didn't think it had me at all, but it had me from day one. From that first time, I did it once, and I didn't do it for 2 years after because I liked it so much. But then once I retired, I got back at it. It was fun at first. You socialized. But at the end, it was, as I said, me and Noah Buddy in the basement, right? And it was lonely, but it was every paycheck, every thought was getting high and not realizing how deep it was, because people that don't understand addiction. And one thing I'd like to say too, Chris, it's a shame that in school we don't teach addictions, because it took me 25 grand to go to Greenstone to realize how serious this is. Because I was always told, oh, you're lazy, you're weak. At this time, and it was, when I went to rehab, I realized that it wasn't that I was lazy. It wasn't that I was weak. I had a disease. I had an addiction. I'm in there with mothers and fathers. I was in there with military people that I'm good friends with now. And aren't they the most disciplined people in the world? And they're battling. And again, that's what I learned in rehab, that it was serious. Now, they give you the tools and there's programs, but now the work starts in Greenstone. It was beautiful food. I had a jacuzzi in my room. I could live there like whole time, just being around people, because we weren't by any means trying to win a championship. We weren't trying to win a championship. We were trying to save our lives. And that's, sorry about my dog barking. That's Knuckles. That was the hardest one, but it was the deepest group of people all together. I didn't know them from Adam, but the tears and the hugs. And then, yeah, like you said, trying to get back some of your relationships. It's been 4 years, and people still don't trust me because they don't.
And that's going to happen. And sometimes there's people that don't trust me, but I'm in a career now that I have to be trustworthy, but I had to be honest. And it was crazy to think, take the spotlight away from you here for a second, but it was crazy to think I went into this job. I remember the job I have today, and I was honest from the get-go. Hey, I am in recovery. This is what I did. This is why I'm here to better my life. And that's what this owner loved, was honesty. Even though the guys will have beers at work, they know I don't drink, but they'll buy me some non-alcoholic beers. They know I love those. They support me though, which is nice to see. I was honest from the get-go. This is Chris now.
You know what people, you know what I've said to people though is, don't forget me, invite me. I'm not always going to show up. For example, here's another one. So I taught hockey for 20 years, still doing it. I've got a team named after me, a men's league team of guys I used to train that are adults now, called Josh Boni alumni. And that's the sweaters they wear on the ice. When it says on the board, it'll say my name. It's pretty remarkable that I made a difference for these kids' lives. And I was invited to 2 weddings this year of players on that team that I'm still not ready to go to weddings. I'm still scared that it's not the actual wedding that I'm going to drink at. It's the next day or the day after, watching people, that cold beer or that double vodka shot, I'm still not totally recovered because, well, I know the rest of my life I'm not going to be, but I still have this thought process that maybe one day I can drink Coors Light again. And unfortunately, the times I've tried is I want the cocaine, and it's like, why do I even try? So I tell people, man, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. Like playing pro hockey was a breeze. That was easy. Trying to stay clean. I'm going back to a job that I used to have, and I know they all like me in there. They want the best for me. But if I have a car, for example, I had a car problem, I am so concerned at them believing me rather than trying to figure out how to get to work. Do you know what I mean? It's just, I'm always trying to have people
Yeah.
believe in me that I'm not screwing up when I just gotta just get there and just go. Like, it's weird. Like, I just, yeah, I get it. I understand they don't understand, but I'm trying to, I don't know what I mean saying it. I'm getting emotional. It's just because it's so difficult.
No, I hear you, man. It's crazy how the mind plays tricks on us. But if you do the next right thing over and over again, people will see that. And it's nice that you're able to win these people, not even win these people, get these people back in your life. They used to be in your life before life was a shit show. Life was a shit show for many years for me. And it's just nice to have the people that you care and love about as your support system. And those are the ones that I try to keep close to me now.
100%. I've got great parents, great sister. I got great friends. They all want the best for me. I get jealous sometimes because my parents are able to drink. They know how to drink. And I get jealous sometimes because, you know what, they're able to drink and I can't. And they're able to, because they did it and they're able to do it. And they didn't lose jobs. And they've got a house. And they put me and my sister through anything we had to go through. So it's sometimes a trigger for me. So I just gotta, also too, I gotta watch who I'm calling. If I'm not feeling 100% that day mentally, I really gotta stay off the phone and stay off social media because it's just, it could trigger me. And then it's not even triggering me for the alcohol or the drugs. It's, I could go on a great run, eating healthy, walking a ton, getting good sleep, exercise. And then I can be triggered where all of a sudden it's carboholic days now. It's baguettes, it's panzerottis. And then all of a sudden I look at this terrible beard I'm running now because I had a couple of great weeks. I just didn't do the little things. And I know I got to, what is it, dot the I's and cross the T's. I got to take I've got medication and I've got vitamins and I got to take my apple cider vinegar in the morning because when I do, I feel great. But if I get down, I don't want to take any of this stuff. It's mind boggling.
It's crazy, but it's the creating those consistent habits in your life. I find just want you keep stacking them, but it gets easier. Trust me, I know exactly where you're coming from. I've been in your shoes, and I still am in your shoes some days when I get down on myself. But what I can do is remind myself that I am not where I used to be either. And does it suck that my wife can have 2, 3 glasses of wine and shut it off? Sure, it does. But I don't let that get to me anymore because I know she doesn't have a problem. I'm the one that had the problem. So I can't have, have resentment towards her for that because she is okay to do that. She's okay to have some edibles or whatever she does for her sleep regimen and stuff like that. I know I can't, but she respects that too. She doesn't throw that in my face. She doesn't do any of that stuff. She does remind me, remember where you did come from. Remember what you did earlier on in our relationship. Remember that I'm still here standing where other people weren't. She gives me constant daily reminders, which is nothing wrong with that, man. She calls me out on my bullshit, and I need that.
Yeah, no, it was 4 years Mother's Day. My mom called me and they were supposed to go down to the Blue Jay game with their grandchildren and my sister and my brother-in-law, Mike. And they called me and says, will you get help? Will you go see somebody tonight? I said, tonight? It's Sunday. We have somebody in Aurelia for you to see. So I went to see a psychotherapist and spent 2 hours. And the lady said, you need to rehab. Absolutely. So we went back to my parents, stayed there the night, and I was in rehab the next day. Again, it's the rehab sets the tone, but by no means ends the game. It's
No, they can give you all the tools in
yeah,
your tool belt. It's a matter of you
yeah,
using them now, going back into real life and being an active member of society,
yeah,
functioning member of society, back to
yeah.
the real world
And
out
the
there.
biggest thing is understanding that the people outside that didn't go to the rehab and aren't in the programs don't understand what you're going through, and they all want to give you advice, and you got to take it with a grain of salt, because they don't really know. Oh, you could do it. Come for I can't. Like, even my support cast, they thought me getting out of rehab, I go right back to where I live, right back to work. No, man, I needed time. First of all, I had to get out of my apartment because it was gross the way I was living. Like when I first went back there, I had like a breakdown because I just didn't care. I was done. I didn't want to live. This addiction, the craziness of it, time and time again, making the same stupid mistakes. Thank God my friend owned the company I used to work for. I'm back there now, but it's a different name of the company. They didn't schedule me on Fridays because Thursday was payday. And it was just, and I would say to myself, oh, I can do a little bag bottle. I'll get to work tomorrow. Absolutely not. And it was insane. The same thing over and over again. And you're sitting there and yeah, I didn't want to live. And I sure as hell want to live now. I've got, I got a great family. Like I said, 2 nephews that are involved in hockey. I got my boy here, Knuckles. What a savior dogs are. I'm telling you, if you know you are capable of loving an animal and you have the time, I suggest trying it because this guy saves my life. I have some down times that I'm just like, nah, I've had enough. I've had enough battling. All of a sudden now I get anxiety and I get depression and I get AFib and I get vertigo. But is it all that bad when you're feeling good and you're having a good laugh with the boys? The guys at work are happy to see you. So it's definitely doable. But again, the little things, the practice makes perfect, right? Just like anything else.
Yeah, it's so true. If you consistently do it day after day, it's like going to the gym. When I do go to the gym, I just put my stuff, my whole gym bag right at the end of the bed. Or when I get out my side of the bed, my gym bag's there, my clothes are there ready to go. I put my shoes on there and I go out the door because that's what reminds me. Or if I need to take something to work, I'll put it on top of my lunch bag that's on the counter. That's how I remind myself. Or we got cell phones. We all have technology. You can put reminders in your phone. There's so many different ways today. But that's what motivates me because when I get up, do I really want to go to the gym? Is it something I want to do all the time? No. I know it's good for my health. I know it's good for my mental health, my physical health today and eating properly. Just so many different things. You know what I mean? Like if I choose to put junk in me, I choose to put junk in me. But that's my choice. And they just like put the drugs in me. I don't want to do that anymore. Just I don't need to run for a tub of ice cream if I'm feeling down. That's a quick fix. It's just like the drug, but it's just well, that's what my wife said. She's like, you get all pissed off or whatever. You run right to the store and grab a tub of ice cream and come home. That's my new. But she calls me out on it because she's not wrong. Or I'll run outside. I'm gonna have a stroke. But there's other ways to relieve stress.
There is. I find that music and walking is good. But I've gone to the ice. I go to the baguettes. I go to the carbs, and I don't like it because I end up doing nothing all weekend because I'm so lazy. Because the carbs, when you first eat them, you don't feel them. Then you're watching an inning or two of baseball or something. Next thing you can't even get off the couch.
I feel you, man. I hear you there.
Like when I went to rehab, I was 380 pounds. I played at 220. Like I swallowed a human being. When you think about it, you know what I mean? So that was another thing I did too. And I worked out a ton and I'm up and down now, you know what I mean? So I'm heavy again now, but I got my sights set on getting back at it.
That's amazing, man. Keep at it one day at a time. That's all you can do. So many people, Josh, struggling with addiction have a rock bottom moment that serves as that turning point for them. Could you take us back to your own rock bottom experience led to there? But what thoughts and emotions were running through your mind at that critical moment? Your mom called you on May 2 for it sounds and go see this person. But were you at your rock bottom at that point?
It was in around the same time. I took a drug I never did and took it and lied on my bed thinking I was done. Thank God it didn't. I didn't take enough, or I don't even know how much it was. Like, I don't know if I took it. I just knew I was holding something for somebody and I was done. And again, thank God it didn't work. It was a few weeks later, I got the call and on I went. And yeah, and again, people think trying to commit suicide is weak too. It's not. But because you know what I've learned too is don't be judging people, man. You don't live in their shoes. Who am I to judge anybody? I hate when I hear people say the word crackheads. Chris, do you remember when we were in school, career day, what did you want to be when you grew up? Nobody said they wanted to be homeless and a crackhead. Like these people.
I feel you. I feel you there. I take it with a grain of salt now myself because I was the
Oh,
crackhead, and I'm okay to say that now. I'll joke around.
yeah.
People know my story, and then I get your side too. But
Let's help them.
I
Let's help.
just no, for sure. I'm not gonna sit there. I totally get where what you're saying too, because I'll challenge people and be like, because those people are human beings as well, just like myself, the homeless guy. I'm only one side away. I'm only a little ways away from being homeless too, if I really think about it, because I could lose my house, I could lose whatever the case is, I could lose my job that pays me very well today. I don't take things, you shouldn't take things for granted, because when you start taking everything for granted, including your loved ones, shit could go south
Yeah.
really quick.
Yeah. You know what? My parents have really helped me at times. And again, they were taught to be careful of him just because they're always going to try to play you. And I get anxiety some mornings. I can't go to work. And it's awful, but I have to go to work. It pays the bills. Because once I get there, Chris, I'm okay. But some days I'm hyperventilating. I'm walking knuckles outside, and the minute I decide I'm not going, I can breathe again. And it makes no sense. So I'm seeing a psychotherapist once a month now, and I'm on some medication. I don't know the name of it. They're too hard to get even. I got grade 10, so it's hard to read these prescriptions, man. Like about 17 letters in a word. But it's today's a good day. I went to work. Me and a guy from Bradford, we live 5 minutes from each other. We're carpooling, saving some money. We get along. We got the job done and came home, went to the dog park. Dog people are fantastic, most of them. Got my lunches ready, and here I am talking about trying to help people and helping myself.
And then that's what it's all about, man. Getting real, getting raw, being your authentic self, and sharing your story to help others or help one person. What even helps me when I interview people or have people on the show, I get something from everyone, because I was once in your shoes too, or we've been in the same shoes, maybe a whole different story, a whole different avenue we took, but we're all in this together to help one another at the end of the day,
Yeah,
Josh, man.
100%.
And maintaining sobriety can be a lifelong challenge, man. Could you share some of the strategies and coping mechanisms that have been instrumental in helping you stay clean and sober? And how do you deal with triggers or temptations that may arise today?
Well, I guess eating well, exercise, good sleep is so important. Staying away from triggers. Like I said earlier, if I'm driving home, I'm not feeling that 110%. Let's not call people that may trigger you. If I'm not 110%, I go the back way home at Bradford, so I don't pass by the St. Louis or the Chuck's or the Boston Pizza or the liquor store, the beer store. I go the back way. I don't see any of that. Being accountable, talking, just it's. I go to meetings not as much as I should. When I do go, I do enjoy them, but I find I talk too much at them and I don't listen. I'm when somebody's talking, I'm thinking about what I'm going to say instead of listening to what they're saying and picking up their advice. So that's something else that I got to work on. Is I tell the kids in hockey, 2 ears, 1 mouth, figure it out, start listening. And they go, oh, that's right. So that's what I got to do. I got to use like the things that I teach the kids that I've taught the kids over the years. I got to use in my regular day life, being accountable, doing the little things. Practice makes perfect.
Does make perfect, man. And you're just talking about, you brought up a good point about active listening. When you're sitting there thinking about what you want to say, you're not even actively listening to that person
Nope.
either. And that's one thing I found and still find myself doing quite regularly still, especially with talks. I'm trying to have serious talks with my wife, but I want to get my next piece. But I'm not even listening to her while I'm not taking in what she's saying, because she's usually got some really damn good advice. She's got me further along in life than anyone else ever has. If it wasn't for her, I really wouldn't be standing here doing this show. She's pushed me to where I am today in my career. Some days I didn't want to get up and go to work because I hated this or hated that, or this person said this. I was like, you know what? At the end of the day, whatever they're saying isn't a reflection of you. So let it just roll off your back. She'll say, and it's really not that bad. I just make things worse than they really are because I start making up these things in my head. You know, and lots of us do that. At the end of the day, you can only control your side of the street. That is it at the end of the day.
Yeah, assumption is an evil word. When you assume things, man, it can tear you apart and you're not even close. So what you're thinking isn't even close of what the person's thinking. Even,
Oh, and I'm bad for that. Lots of us.
terrible. And when you text people and you get that text and you take it the wrong way, and it's just call, let's talk. I think this text, because it's crazy.
Most definitely, man. Coming up to the last question here, Josh, but I love it. You know, today, as someone who has overcome addiction, you likely have a unique perspective on resilience and personal growth. How has your journey from addiction to recovery influenced your outlook on life? And what advice would you give to others who may be facing similar challenges to
Okay,
you?
so this is a great question, and I've got an answer for you because I go into rehab. I'm a former athlete, and I'm a male chauvinist drunk addict. I was one of the members.
I love that you say that though, and you're honest and real about being a male chauvinist
Well,
too, man, because lots of people won't, or they're misogynistic or have been
yeah,
womanizers. I
yeah.
was a womanizer for so many years, man. I won't
I go to
lie.
rehab, and I leave rehab with respect for women. I leave rehab for respect for what is the word? Is it homophobic? So I met a guy in my group, Scotty Too Hottie, as I call him, to help me become sober. I didn't have gay friends before. Being sober, I have all the time in the world for anybody. So, for example, the Canadian national women's hockey team, Laura Stacey, I trained from 12 years old to 18. And she came out, and her and Poulin are together. And I texted her and I said, man, that's just Josh Boni hockey development. We don't give a shit what people think of us. We are who we want to be and why we want to be it. And that's, I came out a more genuine, rounded person because I am a good person. But I was just in that mind frame because, again, playing hockey, you're surrounded with the alcohol and the women. So it was tough. It was tough not to.
So that alpha male we're
Yeah, and it was hard not to be that guy. But I'm not that guy anymore. I respect women. So I respect anybody that's anybody. Why is somebody that looks different than me? Why am I better than them? I'm not. I really that was the best thing for me becoming sober, and I still got Scotty Too Hottie on Facebook, and we still talk. And he was in the Olympics, so he was an athlete. He was like somewhat like me, male chauvinist, but in his own way. And I tell you, the stories he told me, he had a lot more fun than we did. Shit, it was that's probably the answer I have for you. It's just open minded and just getting out of that. Yeah, yeah, I'm open. I feel good. I like everyone for who they are. And when you're honest about yourself, I couldn't hiding my addiction forever was a hard thing. Hiding your sexuality, that's gotta suck. I love when people come out. It's God bless them. Be who you are.
amazing, man. I love the part where you're at and just be open minded. Think of others. It doesn't matter. You shouldn't be out there judging the world because if you're out there judging, that's a reflection of you and who you are and your insecurities. It's not a reflection of that other person that you're judging at the end of the day. That's a reflection of yourself. You should go look in the
Yep.
mirror. I'm not talking to you. I'm just talking to the whole audience here in general. You know what I mean? If you're out there judging people, take a look in the mirror because you're the one that should be judging yourself
100%.
first. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day today, Josh, to come on the show and talk about your life, your addiction, where you are today, man. And I'm super proud of you. I'm happy to have you on the other side now, man, and doing that road to recovery. It ain't easy. Trust me, it's not easy. I know it's not easy. So we've all been in each other's shoes, but one day at a time is all it takes,
And
man.
I'm not going to name her name, but we have a common friend we've talked about. Seeing her on Facebook is it makes me gotta work hard. It's hard, man. Her smile is so infectious, and she'll see this, and she knows I'm talking about her. And she actually is, and we were together in the worst of times, but we're friends now and on the good side. And I love seeing her smile. I love seeing her running, doing marathons. She's amazing. And if she can do it,
That's
she can
amazing,
do it,
man.
anybody can.
For sure. It's awesome to see where people have come from, where they were. It's nice to have people reach out to me or other people too. My family reach out. It's just amazing to see. My mom's one brother's 40 plus years sober now. It's just me. He got actually sober just before I was born, actually. It's crazy, man. But it's amazing. It's just amazing the gifts that keep coming back to you in
Yeah.
recovery, man. So I appreciate you taking the time, Josh. And if anyone wants to reach out to Josh, I know he's not huge on social media, but I do know he's on Facebook. So I'll put his
Yeah, please
Facebook
do.
link in the show notes and stuff. And if you ever want to reach out, Josh, he's an amazing man just to chat to. Or I'm sure he'll actively listen. I think he's learning about that these days. So.
I'll do the best I can. 2 years, 1 mouth.
Exactly.
Thanks
Here,
a lot.
Josh, and I hope you have an amazing rest
All
of your
right.
day.